You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Denise. I'm sitting in for Omra this evening. Welcome to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with your host, Rick Thompson. This show is about sobriety and recovery. Each week we discuss a different topic relating to addiction, with the aim that you can gain some insight, guidance, and hope from our discussions. We focus in 3 different segments. The viewpoint of the relatives, dealing with a family member suffering from alcoholism or addiction, so they may assist them in obtaining treatment. The psychological trauma and the emotional damage alcoholics and addicts experience. And the role of the insurance companies and associated providers and their part in the recovery process. Our call-in number this evening is 323-203-0815. I'll give you that again, 323-203-0815. And now your host, Rick Thompson.
Hello, Denise. It's nice to see you again.
You too.
Thank you for coming in on such short notice. These things do happen. Tonight, our guests are Denise and Tony. Denise is going to be wearing 2 different types of hats tonight. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing really good, thanks. How are you all?
I'm good. Thanks for coming over. I'm going to lead into the subject matter of denial. Denial from the family's point of view when they're dealing with an alcoholic or a drug addict, and from the viewpoint of someone who is an alcoholic or an addict. So I'm going to get into some questions. Tony, can you give us your opinion on how does one get past the denial process?
Well, as far as the individual who is the addict or the alcoholic, the only way they get through the process is they reach a place where all roads lead nowhere. I mean, they've come to a dead end in their life. In the literature, it's called pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. So when the alcoholic addict reaches that point, then they're willing to they're malleable. They're humbled enough to maybe want to learn what they can do about how badly they feel. Mm-hmm. Some people brush up against pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, and thus when they come to the different recovery programs, they stay for a little bit of time. Suddenly their lives right themselves, because they're not doing the destructive behavior that they're doing. And then they think, okay, I can go out there and I can do controlled drinking, or, even if I go to a party, make sure I just do 1 or 2 lines of cocaine or whatever. And then, they come back again, can't do it. You just can't do it. And sometimes it takes a few times for these people to do it. But when they reach the place of pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, they generally stay, They may struggle, but they'll stay. And as far as families are concerned, that's obviously an Al-Anon matter. Mm-hmm. But if you want somebody in your life who is afflicted to be saved, then you have to let go. You have to detach lovingly, but you have to detach and let them get to that place. Because if you keep putting mattresses between them and the floor on their bottoms, they're not ever going to hit bottom.
Yeah, that's true.
They're just not ever going to hit a bottom. I mean, and it flies in the face of everything that makes sense. It's like, if you're a parent and you have a son or a daughter who's suffering terribly, I mean, your natural instinct is to want to help them. I mean, to not have that instinct to help goes against everything that, is natural.
Right.
However, ultimately, though, if you look at the recovery process from another point of view, you'll see where detaching is the most loving thing you can do. But it's hard to see that. It's like, when you're on an airplane and they say if you lose cabin pressure and the masks come down, make sure you put the mask on yourself first and then assist the children next to you. Now, I can't imagine a parent in the world who doesn't think, immediately I want my kids to breathe.
Of course.
No, it doesn't help anybody if everybody is like panicking.
Panicked, right.
So that's what I think, about denial. I mean, and if the parent or the sister or the brother or the mother, or the father, the wife or husband or the kid can get into Al-Anon, they have a chance. Because then they can say to that person, hey, you go destroy yourself, but you ain't taking me down too.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's
because it's like the addict is addicted to drugs and the Al-Anon is addicted to the addict.
Right. And then there's the drama aspect of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, drama's exciting. Everybody, it's like I don't know much about GA, Gamblers Anonymous, but I know it's not so much a question of the gambler wins or loses. It's the thrill of that hand or that roll of the dice or that horse race. That's where the excitement is. If you sat down and said to a gambler, a degenerate gambler, or just a person who has a gambling problem, if you took all the times that they won and all of those quote-unquote good feelings and you matched it against all the times that they lost and how miserable they felt,
right,
it doesn't measure up.
Oh, of course not.
You're still behind the eight ball.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that you may have met, we do know together, who is a degenerate gambler, and it's really sad to see this individual go through what he does. It's like insane amounts of money. But it's not about that. It's about the juice. The juice is the buzz he's getting while he's putting the bet down.
Same thing like shopping. It's the same thing like, robbing, thievery. It's the same thing like being, sex addict or, the high from snorting the cocaine, not even realizing the consequences, and drinking and driving. I mean, it's just drinking, and thinking, and that's another form of denial on a major level.
Right.
But it's not to single out the alcoholic or the addict. I mean, everybody's addicted to something.
What do you think it takes for someone to arrive at the point where they can no longer justify the conditions and circumstances that they've created for themselves?
Well, again, I get back to that place where you've run out of options. There's no place to go. Your choices are over. And you've reached that place, like I remember for me, when I reached the place of pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, I had been reduced to almost like a savage. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't mean a savage in terms of violence, but a savage in terms of behavior. And sitting there thinking, this is crazy. I mean, I don't, and that feeling, which I talk about all the time when I share at meetings, I don't ever want to feel that way again. So, even to this day, when I'm out someplace, I'm 23 years sober, but when I'm out someplace and I see some like really attractive girl, let's say if I'm on my own at this particular event, there's a really attractive girl and she's sitting there drinking a white wine and I think, oh yeah, and then I look and then immediately my thought goes to, oh yeah, howling at the moon like a lunatic.
Yeah, right. That's
so I say, so from the point of taking that drink to the howling, maybe it'll be quicker than it was the last time. Maybe it'll be just as long, but ain't getting away from howling at the moon at some point and feeling miserable. So that's played out in my head constantly, like on a loop.
I understand. Mm-hmm. It might be better for you just to run outside of the hotel and then howl at the moon and then come back and not drink. Yeah. I'm just thinking that might be a better way to approach it.
Yes. I've howled at the moon a couple of times since I've been sober.
Yeah, I can appreciate
that.
But
just for fun.
Yeah.
Not because I'm miserable beyond words.
Just because you just felt like howling? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's a good release. I forget what actor did this, a very famous actor. He was in his biography. He said that he used to go, this is in the 50s, he used to go up to Mulholland and he wanted his voice to be more raspy and heavier like that. And so he went up to Mulholland almost every day. And he would just howl and scream and talk like just as loud as he could do to like really just damage his throat, so to speak, and so that he would speak much more heavily, and it worked. I don't know what he sounded like before, but he always had a really pleasant speaking voice.
Right.
I think it's in his bio, so I'm not outing him.
Right.
But Rock Hudson, that's what Rock Hudson.
Wow. Did. Well, I'm not going to even. Yeah. Okay. That's great. I'm glad that Rock did that for himself. We've got a call coming in.
He has a really. It's the timbre of his voice is really cool.
Right.
And it's his enunciation on stuff is really good too, and that's what he did, and it was. And he kept, I don't know how, he kept doing it for a long time. And it eventually affected his vocal cords, as I understand the story to be.
Hang on just a second. We've got a caller. Hello, you're on the air. Caller, welcome to Life Repair. Hello?
Goodbye.
Hello? Okay, guess not. Wrong number. All right. Well, alrighty then. Another idea I had is making a topic on personal experience of when you hit that wall. And I'm just gonna. It's like what you were just saying, the incomprehensible demoralization. I remember the last day that I got loaded, I sat there and I smoked a half a bag of Thai stick, and I drank about 3 quarters of a bottle of Stoli. And I was stone cold sober. I mean, nothing. I'm talking nothing. There was nothing going on.
Last time I did cocaine, that's what happened.
Yeah,
and I snorted all this coke and
scared me to death.
Nothing.
I mean, it frightened me to the core of my spine because I knew I was caught. It was over. And at that juncture, I sat there and thought, well, there's only 2 ways to go from here. I could leave permanently, and then I couldn't do that because I had Binky and Bill, my cats, with me. It's all I had left after my divorce were my cats. Mm-hmm. And I was sleeping on my buddy's couch. And I don't know where it came from, but I made the call. And because I knew, looking in the mirror, that I was the problem. There was no escaping that.
Well, you want to laugh. I mean, I was a newspaper editor at one point. So, I mean, obviously I was privy to a lot of information. And as an actor, and even as just a fan, I mean, I love the movie Days of Wine and Roses.
Oh, yeah. All right.
But I didn't put it together until New York when this one friend brought me to a meeting about AA. I had forgotten that a place like that existed. Right. It was not in my, the lexicon or the Rolodex in my head.
Sure.
My thoughts never settled. Oh, let me go to AA. I completely didn't even realize it as a real place. So,
yeah, that was a heck of a movie.
Otherwise, I might have gone earlier. Who knows?
What do you think about the family of the person who's suffering, dealing with the acceptance of the disease, of their disease and their malady, and their attempts, to move forward to hopefully obtain some treatment for this person?
Well, people who have the malady and the allergy. If you have a family member who is so assailed or so afflicted, there's nothing you can do for them. Not a thing.
Yeah.
And the tougher you love them, the greater chance they have of getting straight, sober sooner. Straightening out through sobriety. But if you continue to give them any assistance whatsoever, and I mean any assistance, for that much longer, they're going to keep getting high. Because all they want is somebody to give them a leg up so they can score. Even if it's booze or drugs or pot or whatever. That's all they want. That's all I ever wanted.
Right.
I mean, when I was living this completely despicable lifestyle, running this gambling club in New York, and just, my wife had kicked me out of the house, and I was, or out of the apartment, I should say, and I was I was on an express train to hell.
Right.
And the thought about it being against the law only entered my mind sort of conceptually.
Right.
I never thought, I could go to jail for this.
Right.
I could go to jail for the amount of coke I was doing and buying, and had him, because I could have then in turn been considered a dealer for the amount that I had.
Right.
And also I was running an illegal gambling club.
Well, when you're in the zone, you tend to miss some things.
Yeah. So families have a tough thing. I mean, like I said, it flies in the face of everything you think is natural. But you got to let the person go. You detach with love, and you say, hey, man, or lady, girl, whatever, sweetheart, you want to kill yourself, go do it somewhere else.
Right.
Because I'm not going to help you.
What does Al-Anon stand for?
What is Al-Anon? It's for the family. it's an adjunct to Alcoholics Anonymous, and it was created, I believe, by Lois Wilson and Dr. Bob's wife, whose name I just can't remember right now, and some other people, and they realized that they had, especially Lois, she realized that she was addicted to Bill. She put up with a lot of his nonsense, and then when she got straight with Al-Anon, suddenly it was like, you go do what you got to do, man. I'm not going to watch you die.
Right.
Oops, sorry. And so that's what happened. But all of AA, in one sense, owes a debt of gratitude to Lois, because, as I understand the folklore, it was one day when they were all in New York, Bill, Bob, I think Ebby, and a couple of other guys, and the meetings were not being well attended. There weren't a lot of people showing up to meetings.
Right.
And to a guy like Bill, who was such a promoter, it was like, he put on a concert and nobody came.
Right, exactly.
2 people came.
And when he ain't coming, there's no stopping.
And they were standing out on some street corner somewhere in Manhattan back in the 30s. And Bill had said, it's not working. This is not working. And Lois turned to him, and they were all like, it's not working. Yeah, what are we going to do? And Lois turned to them and she said, but it's working for you.
Right.
And then they realized, oh, well, people get here in the time, place, and manner that they get there. And so that they had a renewed sense of, hey, right, I'm sober. They were saying, I'm sober. Yeah, I'm sober too. And they were supporting one another, which is the intent of AA. And from that point, it just started to grow, grow and grow and grow and grow. And so a lot of people can thank Lois for saying, it's working for you. But that's not necessarily out of the realm. Well, Al-Anon didn't come until later after that. But that's sort of the precursor to Al-Anon thing. So basically the shorthand version of it, stop crying. You're fine. That's all that matters right now is you're fine. Now, you can't worry about all the other people. Just worry about you.
Right.
You got to see to it that your own house is in order. You can't transmit something you haven't got. So if you're not in order and you're not trying to work, well, they didn't even have a program then because it was still very new. But, they had nothing written, let's say. They did have steps that they were working with. If you're not in concert with that, then how can you tell anybody else to do the same?
Well, that's true.
So
we've got a caller calling in. Welcome to Life Repair. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
How are you? Who are you?
This is JT.
Hi, JT. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I like your show.
Thank you.
Just ran across it a little bit ago, and I enjoy it.
Well, thank you very much.
Big time fan, first time listener.
Well, that's always good. That's a great start.
Yeah, thank you.
What's on your mind?
You talking about denial. I've been lucky, and I say lucky to have been able to get sober. I got to get sober. I think I was really given a gift that, for many years, when I drank, I just felt weird, and the more I drank, the weirder I got, and the longer, in terms of chronological time I drank, the weirder I got. And by the time I was 40 years old, I said to my wife, Tammy, why are you leaving? You say you love me. I do love you, John. You're a great guy. You're a great provider. But why are you leaving me? I don't understand this. Since you guys are talking about denial tonight. And I said, but why are you leaving? I provide. You're beautiful. I stay in shape. She said, John, you're killing me. That's why she's leaving. And that's where my denial went, caused by my drinking and using. And it did not only happen once, but it happened twice. My son Matthew was trying to qualify for a PGA tournament once, and I was his caddy. And this is about 15 years ago. And he said, "Hey, Dad, how far is that? How far is the pin from here?" It was his second shot. And I said, "Well, you mean to the pin? Oh, that's pin. That's 50 yards." He said, "Dad, it's not 50 yards. It's more like 150 yards. Take the bag off your back. I don't need a drunk caddy for a dad." Did not see him for
Ouch.
8 years.
8 years?
Yeah, well, 8 years.
Wow.
So, again, the denial piece was prevalent in my world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know about I don't know if you detach with love, and I certainly am a double winner. Meaning, I go to Al-Anon and I'm an active member in both programs, and I like the double winners meeting, the all men's double winners meeting that I attend. I really almost like it better than meetings, AA meetings, to be honest with you, because we get to the heart of the matter. Because I think that we really are in a 911 call constantly. You know, we're all just about ready to pop any minute. And I don't know if I certainly didn't ask for it. You know, I believe that we are sick people trying to get better. I don't believe we're bad people trying not to get better. But we must stand against the wind and take the consequences. You know, my mom used to say, "Come on, John, pick yourself up. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps." And the therapist once said to her, "Supposing he doesn't have any bootstraps, Mary, then what does he do? How does he defend?" And if we don't have the tools of a program, whether it's FYC, FUCK, whatever, if we don't have tools to defend from whatever the hell we're doing, which is the mind, body, and the spirit, if we don't have something greater than ourselves, and I believe in God, always have, my problem is I didn't think God believed in me. In other words, I didn't think I was worth much. So there's that self-esteem piece masked by drinking, using, carousing, being somebody I wasn't.
Okay, well, what do you think the next move is for the person who is suffering once they have actually come to the reality of their situation? And I put that
Rick,
out to everybody sitting here.
It's a great question. So the question is what is our responsibility as a sober person trying to help them?
Well, that could be that's another question. I'm just more curious if you've got something. If anybody's got something,
I don't think people
that they could share
active,
with somebody that's suffering.
And I don't think people that are active in their addiction, whatever it is, don't receive a pin light of hope. We have to give the struggling addict, the person that is raising their hand and saying, "Teacher, I don't get this." If we can give them a ray of hope, something we say, a hug,
right,
a ride down the street. I mean, I really believe it's a pinhole of hope, which widens and gives them a spotlight of recovery. That's my belief.
Well, thank you, Johnny. We appreciate you calling in, and please call in at another time whenever you so desire. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you very much, and good job. I like the show, man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night.
Don't forget that you can call into the show if you have any questions or if you'd like to share something with us. We'd love to hear from you. Our number again is 323-203-0815. Again, that's 323-203-0815.
Is this where you give the news now?
Yeah, there is no news other than there's the three of us sitting in this room with the lights off trying to do a radio show.
There's no world news or local or national
Prince
news
is dead.
Or local.
Prince is dead.
Prince died?
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh,
Found him in an elevator.
Uh-huh.
They haven't said why. Whatever it is, it's not good. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Can I ask
Of course you can. Go right ahead.
When JT was talking there, something resonated in me. When he said that he'd put his son in an awkward situation when he was drunk. And I personally have been in that situation, minus the golf game. But a family member, and I just don't know how to deal with it. But I want to deal with it in a loving, caring, but not be not enabling way.
Right.
And can I just ask you guys if, have somebody ever said to you, get away from me, you're an alcoholic, or get away from, that situation? How did it make you feel?
Well, it wasn't so much them saying get away from me. It was their actions or non-action, or their involvement or non-involvement, or a vibration you could just pick up that you're not welcome.
Right.
Or by the way that they look at you. That I automatically picked it up. I knew that I was in trouble,
but that was an indication to you. There's something I've effed up here.
But it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that something is screwed up. My ex-wife, before we were married, we were living together for a while, and she kicked me out of the apartment in New York because I was.
Was she sober or?
Yeah, she's not one of us.
Right.
but I was doing so much cocaine. And I was blowing all this money. I mean, this gambling club that I had was very profitable. If I wasn't doing drugs, I would have made a lot of money, but I just blew it all. And she borrowed money on credit cards to help me get the place started. And, she just finally said, get out of here. You want to go kill yourself, but I'm not going to watch you die. And I was like, you know what? I don't need you. Screw you. And I left. And, again, I went back to the club, and I'm thinking, what is she talking about? I'm fine. So it didn't matter that she said I was despicable and I was hanging out with definitely undesirables. It didn't matter. I hadn't accepted the fact that I had a problem. So she did. She knew I had a problem. So it was like, get out of here. And I was like, yeah, all right, fine. Screw you. I don't need anybody.
See, that's the situation that I'm in. I know that this person, my family member, I know that she has a problem. I know it. And so does a few other people. And she has no, if I even approach it, even gently, she, it's the anger.
She recoils.
What are you talking about? I'm fine.
Then, then the thing is you don't even approach it.
Yeah.
If she's lying in a pool of her own vomit, or she's fallen down the stairs, or she, let her lay there.
That's hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can help her up to get another drink.
That's not what I want to do.
That's what you're doing. You're helping her up so she can make it easy for her to get high drunk again. You're sort of sugarcoating and babying her till she can get well enough to go get drunk again. But if the person is laying in their own vomit, and the person is laying on a sidewalk or on a set of stairs or falling out of the bed or whatever, and then they go, oh my God, what am I doing? Just let them keep doing it, because you're not going to help them by helping them.
You can correlate that into
unless they're like choking or something like that, surely you can help them then, but or they're vomiting blood because they're just, then you would call a 911, call 911, call a doctor, a hospital. But beyond that, there's nothing you can do. And just go completely radio silence.
There's been times that has happened.
Well, it's got to happen all the time. Yeah. Because then she'll eventually come over to you and say, "What's the matter? You don't have anything to say to me?" You say, "No, I have nothing."
Does, yeah.
Yes, I have nothing to say to you. No. Well, it's because you think I can even predict what the conversation would go like. Wait, because you think I'm an alcoholic? Is that what it is? You know what?
That's happened.
You're an alcoholic when you decide you're an alcoholic.
That's right.
That's what you say to them. You're an alcoholic when you decide you're an alcoholic. I can't decide that for you. Okay. I think you have a problem, but that's just the way I look at it. So do what you want to do.
Yeah, that question's going to be a bait, so something can start.
Oh, yeah.
The more you leave them alone, the more they're going to challenge you.
Right.
Because they're used to the banging heads. That's comfortable. That's familiar.
Yeah.
But when the banging of the heads stop, and you say to somebody, go do what you got to do and leave me out of it, then what do? Some people get really stubborn and they leave and they find another person they can argue with, a mate,
That's
a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they live for that. They live for the conflict. They live for the drama. And then when you just say, "I'm not," this is unacceptable. And the term, that's what you just say. This is unacceptable to me. I don't know if you're an alcoholic or not. If you think you are, you are. All I know is what you do around the house. I don't know how to deal with it anymore. I'm unable to deal with it. So just leave me out of it, or just leave, or both.
Right.
You know, so if you can't order them out of the house, then you just order them out of your life, which is possible to do. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing like the alcoholic trying to give up alcohol or drugs. It's the same thing like the Al-Anon trying to give up on the alcoholic. It's hard.
Yep.
We're addicted. You're addicted to her. She's addicted to whatever it is she drinks or takes.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to stand up and say, okay, you know what? I volunteer to be the adult here. And volunteering to be the adult and volunteering to make those kind of decisions, it's always lonely and always unpopular.
Yeah.
Always.
Been there, done that, yeah.
But it's necessary. You know, if the meetings, like somebody once said, if there's a line in one of the books that said, if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, the structure of recovery, all the different recovery, is for people who want it, not for people who need it. If it was for people who need it, the meetings would be held in stadiums. You know, with 20 closed circuit televisions in the parking lots.
Right.
You know, for the tens of thousands of people who couldn't fit into the stadium. You know, there's so many of us out there, so many, and there's so many of us who don't want it. You know,
or don't think you have actually even have.
Well,
an issue.
denial, like you were saying before. Yeah, when we were starting the through line for this show. A lot of people just, no, I didn't. I was in denial. I didn't think drinking 3 quarts of booze a day and snorting almost $800 of cocaine a night was a problem.
Right.
I was having a good time. You asked me, you know, you got a problem. I go, with what? Look at all the money I'm making. I got this great poker game going on here. I got this nice duplex apartment in the Upper East Side. You know, I got money in my pocket. I've got... What are you talking about? I got enough money to buy drugs and you know, and do what I'm doing and also save money.
We've got a caller calling in. Thank you, Tony. You're on the air. Welcome to Life Repair.
Hi, Rick. This is Tim.
Hi, Tim. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. You know, I love this topic, denial. Denial. Boy, all denial would get me is death. I have to live in acceptance. I have to live in what the program taught me, acceptance. And when I live in acceptance, I can accept what's going on with me, and I can get the right help that I need to get through whatever it is that's going on with me.
Yep.
And you know my story.
Yes, I do.
And it was not a pretty one for a long time, but I came into the program 17 years ago with a huge thing going for me. I walked in the doors with a willingness to sit down, shut up, and listen. They said to me, don't drink, don't use, don't run, one day at a time, and we'll get you sober. And I did that, and they did that, and they got me sober, and I'm sober 17 years later. And that's a miracle.
Yes, it is.
That's a miracle. You got some great guests on. I've been listening to the show. You got some real good stuff going on tonight.
Well, thank you, Tim. Yeah, I mean, your story is amazing to me, how first you get sober, and then you are diagnosed with Parkinson's, and you have to teach yourself how to draw with your left hand. And that's an incredible story. Just those two things right there are just the most intense transformations I've ever seen in a man in my life.
Well, I'll tell you, I just got home from Sacramento, and I did a radio show up there. I was on with a guy, and he was blown away by it, and had some wonderful things to say. And I just, man, it was program that got me to do this. Program. The gifts that the program gave me, when I left that doctor's office and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease on my right side, and I could not draw anymore, and I was 58 years old or whatever it was, and I've been drawing since I was 4. I was devastated. I was leveled. I was done. And that was, you know, I was ready to drink my brains out in Mexico. But a moment of clarity. God, I can't do this. I need your help, and I need it right now. Right now. I can't do life on life's terms. And he got me up. I got up, and rather than going to the liquor store, I went to the bookstore, got that sketchbook, opened it up, and wrote drawings from the left on the first page. First time I'd ever written anything with my left hand. And I put a drawing on there, and I have never looked back. And, of course, now I'm on different medication for the disease 8 years later, and I'm drawing with my right hand again and about to bring out my second book, Shaken Not Broken, An Artist's Journey Through Hell.
That's
50
incredible.
watercolors.
That's incredible. It really is.
And it's all a gift of the program. And I try to tell people all the time, stick with the deal, stick with the deal. Everything is available to you here in sobriety. Everything. Nothing is available to you if you live in denial and go out and use. You're done.
You're right.
You're done.
Great. Tim, thank you very much for calling in. It's always good to hear your voice, and thank you for your support of the show.
My pleasure, buddy. I love you, and I'll be with you all the time.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Yeah, I take a look at just getting sober and thinking how incredible that is for guys like us, to turn our lives around. And then you hear this guy come up and, all of a sudden he wakes up and he's got Parkinson's and he can't draw. That's just what he does. And then teaches himself to do it with his left hand. I can't even, I can barely screw in a light bulb with my good hand. It's just the miracles just never.
We're incredibly resilient people, human beings.
Yep.
And alcoholics are such that they test that resiliency every single day by the inordinate amounts of alcohol and drugs that we pour into our body, defying the odds that at any given moment, seconds and inches away from death, a premature death. So
yeah,
so we're pretty resilient people.
Yeah, the emotional condition that I remember myself being in when I hit the wall was I was being held together by spit at that point. You can't. So it's just so fragmented that when it doesn't work anymore and you're standing there, it was the most frightening time of my life, honest to God. And I thought putting my father in the ground was the number one thing. This was 3 times as bad as that because I knew I was screwed. I mean, I had nothing. It was me and a buddy who let me stay on his couch, and I had 2 cats. I was broke. I didn't have any car. I didn't have a car. I didn't have shit. My marriage was destroyed, and it was a miracle, literally a miracle, that made me pick up that phone and call that number to reach out. And I had no idea if it would even work, but I knew that was the only avenue I had left, man. I mean, that was, and anybody that's in that situation, that's maybe listening to this broadcast, that's a hell of a place to be. That's dark. Yeah, it's like being in a room without windows or doors and watching the darkness pour out of the blackness. But, I made it out of that room. And it was a miracle that I made it out of that room. But I made it out of that room. And, if I can do it, and if Tony can do it, and if Johnny can do it, and if Tim can do it, anybody can do it. You've just got to have a little bit of faith.
I've seen people in AA. There's a girl. I haven't seen her in a long, long time, so I don't know how she's doing or if she moves or whatever. Her name was Mary, and she had cerebral palsy. I think that's what she had. And she had, dual crutches, the wrist kind, the kind that you have to do. And she used to come to the meeting over there in Moore Park, and she had the most unbelievable smile. I mean, I think it's like the number one smile I've ever seen in my life. And she would come over to you and she'd go, "Hi, Tony, how are you?" And it didn't matter what was going on in my life. Right. I would look over and I go, "I'm doing great, Mayor. How you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I'm," and I would think, how does she stay sober? And I think my little petty, stupid little problems, and I think this girl has to deal with this every single moment of her life. Mm-hmm. And yet she manages to get, so, look, everybody, like, what was it, famous rock and roll musician whose son fell out a window one time and died, a 5-year-old son.
Oh, yeah, EC.
And he said,
EC's kid.
He goes, "I didn't drink over that." He goes, "If you got a problem worse than that and you need to drink, then go ahead, drink."
Yeah.
He goes, "But I didn't drink over that." And I'm thinking to myself,
oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around it. Still can't.
Who would have blamed him if he did?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
But he said no, because it's important. As much as I love Frank Sinatra, and I do, and I have every album he's ever recorded or sung on or whatever. But one time there's this thing in this one restaurant. It says Frank Sinatra sitting there at a table with Dean Martin. He goes, "I feel sorry for people who don't drink, because that's as good when they get up in the morning. That's as good as they're going to feel all day." You know what, Frank?
Yeah.
I agree with you on a lot of stuff. I'm certainly a fan, and I will be for the rest of my life. But you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong, because if I'm sober and I'm not in the best of moods when I wake up, I can change it without any substance helping me do it.
Right.
And if I'm in a great mood, I can get into an even greater mood simply by my own, willpower and my own ability to connect to the stuff that I have to. Person who drinks is doing it because they want to change their mood. Okay? And it can go any way. It can go up, it can go down, and they can't do anything about it until the alcohol wears off. Right. So, but again, not like Sinatra's right about everything he said. I mean, he did say not to wear brown shoes at night when you dress up, so I don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't care. Frank's dead.
Yeah, no, but I don't. So I don't wear brown shoes at night when I wear a suit or something. Because Frank says.
Well, yeah, that's true. If you're wearing a suit at night, you can't wear brown shoes. That's
can't wear
true.
brown shoes.
That's right. That's great. A Frankism. Yeah. Do you think that denial can also be considered as enabling?
Yeah, of course it is.
An individual to say sick?
Same thing. There's no, like I said, the longer a person puts up with the nonsense of a loved one, for that much longer that loved one is going to stay high and possibly die despite whatever, because nobody has the ability to do it. We're not that powerful. No, that would be like saying, I can be your higher power. I can be your God. And you can't do that. Nobody can do it. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody can make you get sober. And nobody can say that you're an alcoholic. You have to do it. Once you admit you're an alcoholic, then that's it. You're done. It says, once somebody plants in the mind of an alcoholic the true nature of his malady, he'll never be the same again. So anybody who leaves the rooms and decides to go out, you never hear about them when they come back. Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful time.
I'm just back because, you know what, it was so great, it was boring.
Right.
Yeah.
They come back because they go, oh my God, it was horrible.
If they make it back.
If they make it back. And so, enabling, look, everybody does their fair share of enabling. Everybody does their fair share of codependent behavior. You don't spend a lifetime learning that stuff and then, shaking it off right away. Even the people who say, oh, no, I don't care. The minute somebody says, I don't care, then why did you mention it?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, if you say, I don't mind, it's a little different. But you go, oh, I don't care. Yeah, you do, because you're mentioning it. So, but everybody has those problems, everybody. And to a lesser or greater degree. And whatever program you work, be it Al-Anon, be it AA, be it some spiritual discipline, whatever it is that you're doing, if you really, don't half measure it and go all of full bore, you can start changing things about, who you are and what you are. You can reach that place where your heart and your mind work in unison all the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Because there's a thing in the book, it says, the precious gift that we're asked to celebrate is peace of mind. I have more periods of peace of mind today than I ever had before I got into the program, and even in the early years in the program. And I realized peace of mind, that's where it's at. All I want to do is I want to wake up and I want to be at peace. And I want to be thinking this about this person, and what do I got to do here, and that idiot, and how do they dare this? Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. I pray, I do whatever I need to do and say, okay, and then I go about my day. And because I've spent a lifetime having that habit, I didn't get here overnight. I'm not going to get out of here overnight. But if I keep working at it, it's like I tell people, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't destroyed in a day either. So if you go to Italy today, if if you go to Rome, there's still remnants of the Roman Empire all around the place.
Yeah.
So there's lingering things inside of all of us that can be. I mean, I know the other day I was driving in my car, and I put on my satellite radio to classic vinyl, which is like my favorite station in the world, and some song came on. I forget who it was. I think it was Jimi Hendrix. Mm-hmm. Jimi Hendrix, and I remember I had gone to see him in a concert. I saw him a few times, but in this one concert, and it reminded me of my first ex-wife, and I remember about something we had this like, whatever, and I suddenly got like really sad and melancholy. Not that I wanted to be back with her, but I was just thinking,
it's amazing that music can do that.
But again,
powerful it is.
And then what I did was I said, whoop, and then I went into all the things that I've learned in AA. All of the disciplines, all of the prayers, and I moved my thoughts along. But I wasn't doing anything, and then my brain came along and just mugged me.
But if you didn't have those tools.
Oh, if I didn't have those tools,
yeah.
The rest of that car ride to wherever I was going would have been, oh, God forgive me, I would have been such a nightmare to other motorists. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Those, At least today I don't have to roll my window down and tell them how poorly I think they're driving. I still think they're driving poorly. Of course I don't.
Right.
Of course I'm an exceptionally...
But you now have the tools not to say it out loud.
Yes, I have the tools not to say it out loud. And I don't say it nearly as much as I used to, even with the window rolled up.
Right.
Because, like as if my opinion is like,
whatever.
Yeah. Sacrosanct, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
So
well, great. Well, thank you for coming on tonight.
Time's up?
Yeah, pretty much.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great show, and thank you, Denise. Our mission is to provide a safe platform for those who are suffering from various forms of addiction. We're not professionals in the recovery business, just people willing to listen and offer suggestions to help those in crises. Sadly, that's all that we have time for this week. I hope that you've been able to take away something from our discussion. I'd like to thank my guests again, Denise and Tony, for being here with me tonight, and to our callers, Tim and John. I hope that you can join me next week, and remember you can also download any of our previous shows at any time you so desire at www.latalkradio.com. And to leave you, we have the words of the late John Flynn.
Disappointment is the caboose on the tootsie train of expectation. Anything you want from anybody, you give them what you want from them. It's the only way you're going to get it.
I agree.
Life is about giving, not getting. Day at a time.
Thank you, John. Thank you for listening. Good night and good luck.
You're listening to Life Repair Recovery Talk Radio with Rick Thompson, only on LA Talk Radio.